Flutter Json and Serialization. It is hard to think of a mobile app that doesn't need to communicate with a web server or easily store structured data at some point. When making network-connected apps, the chances are that it needs to consume some good old JSON, sooner or later. Terminology, encoding and serialization are the same thing, turning a data structure into a string. Decoding and deserialization are the opposite process, turning a string into a data structure. However, serialization also commonly refers to the entire process of translating data structures to and from a more easily readable format. Which JSON serialization method is right for me? 2 general strategies for working with JSON. Manual serialization. Automated serialization using code generation. Different projects come with different complexities and use cases. For smaller proof of concept projects or quick prototypes, using code generators might be overkill. For apps with several JSON models with more complexity, encoding by hand can quickly become tedious, repetitive, and lend itself to many small errors. Use manual serialization for smaller projects. Manual JSON decoding refers to using the built-in JSON decoder indart convert. It involves passing the raw JSON string to the JSON decode function, and then looking up the values you need in the resulting map less than string, dynamic greater than. It has no external dependencies or particular setup process, and it's good for a quick proof of concept. Manual decoding does not perform well when your project becomes bigger. Writing decoding logic by hand can become hard to manage and error-prone. If you have a typo when accessing a non-existent JSON field, your code throws an error during runtime. Use code generation for medium to large projects. JSON serialization with code generation means having an external library generate the encoding boilerplate for you. After some initial setup, you run a file watcher that generates the code from your model classes. For example, JSON_serializable and built_value are these kinds of libraries. This approach scales well for a larger project. No handwritten boilerplate is needed, and typos when accessing JSON fields are caught at compile time. The downside with code generation is that it requires some initial setup. Also, the generated source files may produce visual clutter in your project navigator.